Good evening, or at least I hope it's the evening. You should be listening to this at night. Welcome to Rock the Cash Bar.
Hi.
How are you doing, Diane?
I'm doing good. I'm excited about this episode.
I am too. I'm really excited about our guest. I'm also excited about the band that we're doing today. I liked it more than I thought I was going to, and it kind of oddly, I'm not a very aggressive guy. I'm just not.
No,
it's
you're
just
not.
Usually, it's not in me. But I found myself last night screaming invectives and vulgarities at a group of medical students at a trivia night last night.
Did you go to that trivia thing?
I went to the trivia thing, and we were doing fairly well, but we were struggling. Like, I'm a bartender, and I was on a team with my sister and my girlfriend, and we're not the most, like, educated people. My sister and my girlfriend both have degrees, so I'm less so. I'm the only one who doesn't. But there was a question about which companies make up, like, the Dow Industrial Average. And it absolutely sunk us because we don't have any investments. Like, we have no idea what's going on. And then there were these group of, like, doctors and medical students that kept shouting at us for how dumb we are. And I just flipped the fuck out. I just went absolutely apeshit. It's like, not everybody's invested in the market, you motherfucker. just literally screaming. And it's my girlfriend and my sister as backup. So they're literally, like, running their hands through my hair.
Stop it.
Calm down, skinny man.
Stop it. I've seen you, like, go crazy in, like, really funny ways, like karaoke, and that time we were drinking at LZ's, and then there was that, like, massage parlor whorehouse next door, and you got drunk, and it always got closed down, like, and then
now we gotta tell that story.
And yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, you were gone, and then we see a mattress, the nastiest thing you could have touched in there, Ben, the mattress come flying over the fence into LZ's. And you were drunk and, like, going through the whorehouse and taking the mattresses and throwing it into the outside bar area. I've seen fun drunk. I've seen Ben go fun crazy, but not, like, anger crazy.
Okay. It was closed and abandoned at the time. It wasn't like I went in there and just started, like, pulling the mattresses out from under like low rent prostitutes. But yeah, no, what we did, it was our previous guest. It was Paul Odo. Paul Odo and I had we didn't break in there. We were just like knocking on the door and kind of looking for things. I think we went in through a window. But we did take mattresses out, and then we put them in, like, in pickup trucks, like in the flatbed of pickup trucks.
Yes.
So that some poor guy would, like, come home drunk from the bar and is like, what's this mattress doing? It's literally a whorehouse mattress in the back of your pickup truck.
Oh, we had a lot of fun there. Okay, our guest is in the waiting room.
And our guest he's a proper gentleman. He would have absolutely nothing he may have been there that night and probably either left or scorned us as
like,
what are you guys doing? This is beneath you. You may have seen our guest on The Late Show with David Letterman or on Comedy Central. We started out doing comedy together in the early 2000s. He is the very funny, the great impressionist, Mr. Mike MacRae. Mike, are you there?
Oh, that was good timing, Diane. All right, here he comes. Can you hear us?
Hello, dear people.
Hi.
There's the baritone. I was looking forward to that.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Oh, you're wearing the good right shirt. We haven't. Well, I mean, people know what song we're doing because they clicked on the link. But yeah, we're doing Supernaut by Black Sabbath.
Yes, we are, guys.
Are
you prepared for the Sabbath?
I think I'm prepared now. I didn't start the day prepared, but now I've gone and I've fashioned myself my hair into a mullet. I went and bought a Trans Am this afternoon.
I cut bangs. It just felt right for the episode.
I need some Aussie bangs.
Yeah, I kind of feathered my hair a little bit.
I knew I was going to have to deal with a lot of bullshit.
We're so ready.
There's nothing but, okay, this is definitely the most aggressive music that we've done on this podcast so far.
Maybe
Wait,
so.
where'd you guys go? Hold on, I did something weird. Hold up. Okay, we're back. Okay, sorry.
Good.
It's the most aggressive, you said?
maybe so.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't you do the Beatles with Tommy Drake?
That was vicious. He was
That
breaking the
Helter
heads off of all
Skelter
kinds of
song
things.
is something.
But real quick before we get into it, we were right before we brought you in, we were talking about that night at LZ's when Ben and Odo went to the massage parlor next door and took the mattresses and threw them over. Were you there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
I remember that. I remember that whorehouse.
Yeah. It would always get shut down.
I never forget a whorehouse next to a bar I go to all the time.
I never forget a whorehouse I go to all the time next to a bar I sometimes frequent.
That might have been the first time that I saw like the mischievous utility of the cell phone camera. Because I remember like sitting there one night and there were these guys like on their way in there quietly, and somebody like hooked the phone like up over the high fence and just started taking their picture as they're ringing the doorbell, bro.
The dawning of a dark age.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those are fun times though.
So
I consider
good.
that some of my favorite times ever. Just getting
easily
shithoused with you guys and getting into trouble.
Remember when Corbin's python got loose behind the bar of it was slithering through the ice of the behind the bar where
was Craig working?
He must have been. Who else would have let a snake back there?
Yeah, I know. I'll have to ask about that.
That couldn't have been just a random mishap. There would have been a lot of gates had to open for that to happen.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if that was before we started dating, because I don't remember that. It got loose in the house when I started dating him and living with him all the time. We would just get drunk and forget to put the snake up. And the next day we're like, where the fuck is Shay? Oh my God, where is the snake? And then suddenly you just start seeing books fly off the bookshelf. Like she would
the snake it was like, I want to go back to LZ's, dude. There's a whorehouse there. They let me behind the bar. If I were a snake, I'd be like, that's the best part of his snake life was there.
Best day of that snake's life.
How many times did Corbin look at you and say, I seem to have misplaced my python before you agreed to marry him?
Well, I wasn't much better at the time. I was down for fun shit, and it would just be scary the next day where he's like, don't worry, we'll find her. Where I'm like, no, we got to find her. Like, we're going to worry until we find her.
Where she drops out of the ceiling on you.
Yeah. I mean, she was like 8 feet long. She's hard to miss.
Yeah, I remember. It was very unsettling having a Burmese python out when we were going drinking.
Yeah. We would take her to the gay pride parade because it happened right in front of our house. And he called it, because, it was so crowded and hard to get through the crowds. And he would take Shay and he called it parting the gay sea, because like the guys were just like, like we could walk wherever we wanted.
That's a hate crime.
I know.
Yeah. I would also run away from Corbin with a snake wrapped around his neck. Absolutely. And I think I have on a couple of occasions.
A lot of people have. All right, let's go to Ozfest. Let's talk about some Black Sabbath.
Pythons, whorehouses. Looks like we're ready for Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Mike, you're a huge, big Black Sabbath fan. Like, you and a couple of other friends have spent many an evening in a bar talking about the many members of Black Sabbath. Can you just like how did you come to them?
I can tell you, well, I grew up in St. Louis, which has or had at the time a very strong sort of classic rock culture to it, especially in the radio at the time. There were 3 essentially classic rock stations on air when I was growing up. But they never played, like they played a lot of Led Zeppelin, which also I was on the fence whether to do Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath for this, and I like Led Zeppelin, but they didn't play. They only played 2 Black Sabbath songs ever, so I wasn't that familiar. So they sort of like shied away from the super heavy stuff, and even in like the high school I went to, like classic rock was cool, but like heavy metal was sort of for dorks, and they kind of made fun of it or whatever. But but like the
like glam rock 80s metal was kind of shunned.
Well, that, yeah. Well, in the
Everybody
90s, no,
everybody
yeah,
knows
no, no,
that.
no. I mean, even like classic, like heavy metal, like Black Sabbath
Okay.
was sort of, but I was like, I heard more Led Zeppelin that it didn't play on the radio. I'm like, there's like heavier shit that they don't even play on the radio. Why don't they play that? And then I and then there were only two Sabbath songs they played on the radio. It was Iron Man and Paranoid, and I liked both those songs. And then my friend played me War Pigs. I was like,
Yeah,
holy
that's like
shit!
the only Sabbath song I know.
I need to hear more of this. So and then, by that time I was going to college, and then I was just really getting into the sort of heavier late 60s, early 70s rock that you didn't really hear on traditional classic rock radio, like Black Sabbath and Deep Purple.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to hear more of this. But so I bought, when I was a freshman in college, I bought a compilation, like a greatest hits album that Black Sabbath put out in the middle of the 1970s called "We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll." And then I heard all those tracks, and I was like, this is the shit. This is it, man. This is
Like this is who I am now.
yeah.
It's so crazy
Injected into me.
you never had the look of someone who liked Black Sabbath, though.
Well, what's the look of someone who likes Black Sabbath? This is what I want to know.
I'll explain it to you. My cousin Tombo. Let me explain. Growing up, Tombo's...
Was he a cartoon character?
Isn't it horrible? His name is Thomas, and we're East Texas. Everyone called him Tombo. I wasn't allowed to go in Tombo's room when I was little because it was all Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath. You know, what is it, Eddie from Iron Maiden?
Yeah.
I mean, it was... He did a lot of drugs, and he liked really dark music, and he had long black hair, and I mean, he was just like your typical, the way you look, hardcore rocker. And so that's the vision I have in my head when I think of someone who's like really into Sabbath and, you know, those bands from that era. And the first time I met you, I was like, Ozzy, huh? You just don't look like you don't look like Tombo.
Well, I mean, that kind of music, I mean, a lot of that stuff is marketing and imagery and stuff, but the music itself is for, just dorks and losers. I mean, it's for people who feel left out, who are kind of depressed, who are
fringe.
I mean, but I think on a certain level, we all feel that way sometimes. So it's not.
I like the Cure, Depeche Mode. We are the most like left out dorks that people made fun of in high school.
Yeah, I mean, it all takes different forms. It just sort of depends on what kind of sonically appeals to you. I mean, both, whether it's the sort of like, what you describe, those types of bands, or whether it's sort of metal.
Right.
I think they all kind of appeal to the same kind of thing because it kind of revels in negativity. It revels in pessimism.
Yeah.
I mean, Black Sabbath has really a handful of songs that are about actually the occult.
Right.
I mean, they don't really have, the band is not just one thing. But I mean, if there's if there's an overarching theme, it's great music to listen to if you're bummed out and you don't really feel like getting unbummed out.
Yeah.
You just want to sit there in that for a moment.
Wallow in it.
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah. Like, do you share it? Like, is there like, would you get in groups of like other Black Sabbath fans? And I always picture like Sabbath fans in high school, early high school, in the parents' basement, maybe smoking a little pot, certainly stealing out of dad's liquor cabinet, just bad boys playing it loud, bad boys making noise.
First of all, I wasn't a bad boy. I mean, I didn't, I wasn't into drugs or alcohol or anything in high school. And I didn't really start leaning towards that heavy music until the very, very end of high school. So yeah, listening to it was never really a communal thing for me. When I went to college, there was one guy that I was friends with who was a year above me that he lent me his cassettes that I would listen. That's how I got familiar with the rest of their discography. But like, it wasn't ever a communal thing. It wasn't until I started doing comedy that I sort of met other people that like, yeah, oh yeah, we like Black Sabbath. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and now the Pat Dean, the guy who runs the Velveeta room, has a special MacRae mix of Black Sabbath that he plays for me when I walk in there, you know.
That's awesome.
So it's only now, you know, it's only much later in life that it's sort of a normalized thing. Like when I was in college, I was really kind of on an island as far as the music I listened to. Everyone was like, "What? This is Mike music or whatever." Like I was the only one who listened to classic rock
Yeah.
at all. So it was, yeah, it's always been like a loner delicacy for me listening to this type of music. It's not something that I was ever part of a community of.
Right.
Mm.
I was raised on it. My dad was, his favorite band of all time was Deep Purple, and he loved,
shit.
yeah, and I mean,
I got equally into them too.
Like, and he was a young guy. I mean, he was 17 when I was born, and so like I just grew up listening on 8 tracks in his car.
Wow.
To Sabbath and Deep Purple and Jethro Tull, and
Nice.
that's pretty much what I was raised on, and like I still have such an affinity for it. And then at the same time, my mom is listening to classic country like Conway Twitty and the Judds, so I love that as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. I think
Any chance the hipsters are going to bring back the 8-track? I would love to bring back the 8-track. None.
There's no way of playing it. No one has an 8-track player.
I've only seen one in my life. My dad had an old Ford Torino, and he also had a Deep Purple 8-track. That was the only one that we wanted to listen to. We were like 6 years old. Like, nah, this is cool. We like it. I don't remember a single song.
Yeah, to me, there's something about that kind of hard grinding sound from late 60s and early 70s that's just always appealed to me. And I've continued to like find, even into adulthood, find more and more obscure bands from that period of time who were exponents of that.
There's one I'm going to ask.
Black Sabbath was sort of a jumping off point.
I can't remember if I'm gonna get it wrong. The only other person I've ever met who knew what I was talking about was Sam Damaris. I can't remember the name of the band. I think the song was called DOA, Dead on Arrival, but it's about
Blood Rock.
Yes, Blood Rock. Do you know that song that I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I've heard that. They didn't grab me as much, so I never really got into Blood Rock. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. I figured you might.
You've brought that up to me before, so
have I?
Yeah.
I may have been asking you with other people if you'd heard of this like dark, depressing song of my youth.
Because there's like a lot of those types of bands from that period of time that are like doing that sort of thing where I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is that makes like one good and one not good to me, but some of them are like,
Not
and
really.
I seem to remember getting the sense from that band. That's how I felt, but maybe I'll give them another listen.
I don't know. The song was pretty dark. Should we get into Supernaut?
I think we should get into Supernaut. Usually, I don't know if you've listened to the show, Mike, but what I usually do is I go through the lyrics like line by line, and I get all insufferable English major about it. So you just go ahead and break me down when I go too far on this.
I figured that's what. Yeah, I mean, analyzing pop music lyrics of any kind is the easiest fish in a barrel bullshit you can possibly do. So you go right to it and look smart.
That's where you find me on Easy Street looking smart. I kind of want to. All right, I'm going to do it. And do you have the lyrics in front of you, or do you even need it?
I do.
Front of you? You probably know it.
Okay. They're in my head, man.
All right. I want to reach out and touch the sky. I want to touch the sun, but I don't need to fly. It was a good intro. I think we know what we're after here. I think we kind of see where we're headed. This is like is it rock and roll Babylon? This is the young man trying to be the rock god, reaching out for the heavens.
I just think drugs.
Drugs.
This song about drugs for you, Mike?
It's not about it to me, but they were very fueled on cocaine making this album.
Yeah.
Yeah. This feels to me like the way I did when I was like 18 or 19. You're just like so cracked out on your own adrenaline. Just like, I want to reach out and touch everybody and everything. I'm going to climb up every mountain of the moon and find the dish that ran away with the spoon. I like that one. That was cuter than I thought it was going to be.
That's not the lyric I have.
Was distant man a-waving his spoon.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Oh,
Are you reading the kids' fairy tale version of?
No,
is this the Hickory Dickory Dock version of Supernaut?
Or maybe it is that. Here's the thing. I don't even know. I always thought it was find a distant, because we were always like, what the hell does that mean? Find a distant man a-waving his spoon.
Yeah, that's what I have.
But find the dish that ran away with the spoon. Oh, that makes sense. That could be it.
I've got it from, the absolutely, unimpeachable source of azlyrics.com, which haven't led me astray for 35 episodes. I don't know.
They didn't put them in the liner notes, so it's all up to whatever some
true.
person hears. So
that's true.
Yeah.
I would also, in the middle of this, can I point something out? There's probably a salient point. Ozzy Osbourne did not write the lyrics for Black Sabbath.
Right, I saw that.
Right. So Geezer Butler, the bass player, wrote the lyrics, and then Ozzy Osbourne would come up with the tune or the melody for which he'd sing them.
Okay.
So, Geezer Butler didn't, he was not writing from the perspective of fronting the band.
Right.
Just shit that he fucking came up with that he thought would sound cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
all right, I think either one of them applies.
I'm trying to change these lyrics into nursery rhymes now all of a sudden. Like, is there any way I can squeeze Hansel and Gretel in here unexpectedly?
And the dish that ran away with the spoon. Maybe that is what he says.
I don't know.
To find the dish that ran away with the spoon.
Oh,
Find a distant man a-waving his... Oh, that's what it is. Oh, okay. Now you solved a little riddle for me there.
Oh, I see. Hey, do you do an Ozzy impression out of all the stuff that you do? Do you sing like Ozzy when you sing this in your head?
That's what I was going to ask. Like, you do a great Ozzy impression on stage. I was like, can you do a singing voice Ozzy impression?
I'm not really a good singer, but I want to reach out and touch the sky. I want to touch the sun, but I don't need to fly. I want to climb up every mountain on the moon and find a distant man a-waving his spoon. Find a dish that ran away with the spoon. This is freaking me out, man.
Actually, I looked up that nursery rhyme today because I hadn't obviously recited that or heard it since I was a kid.
And
I was kind of hoping
that must be what it is, and everyone just misheard it.
It's hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. Yeah.
Sure, okay. I remember that.
I crossed the ocean, turned every bend. I found the crossing near a golden rainbow's end. And this is where I got all like, I like to write and read about it. Like, it would have been like I found the crossing near a golden rainbow's end. Like, I like that line, but I think it would have been improved if it was, I found the crossing near the golden rainbow's end. Like, there is that golden rainbow, there is that crossing. If you've ever been there, you know where it is. It just seems like high guy logic, like I expect some like long-haired guy smelling like rancid pot. It's kind of like, I found the crossing, man. I found it. It's not a crossing, it's the crossing.
I have so many notes written down.
Well, okay. I don't think I'll be able to sleep tonight.
Mike, you want to interject any thoughts you've had about these lines?
I mean, they're just, I mean, they match the song. I mean, it's like isolating lyrics from any kind of pop music song is difficult because you lose the sonic quality. And the lyrics, if you hear the song, I mean, I could talk about it more when we go through the third verse. But it's madness, all right. And they probably came up with the music first, and then Geezer wrote the lyrics, and he's like, I just want to kind of project madness. A lot of Black Sabbath's lyrics are kind of about literal insanity.
Yeah.
So this is not like supposed to be a poem. It's not supposed to be something meaningful or deep. It's just an expression of kind of a controlled madness that Ozzy Osbourne was supposed to sing.
Right.
in his way.
And he performs that so well. I mean, he performs
Yeah.
looking like a madman better than anyone I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, they used him as a, you know, as a tool for that.
Yeah.
I've been through
But I like
magic.
that. But I like the third verse coming up. I always kind of did sort of click with me.
I've been through magic and through life's reality. I've lived 1,000 years and it never bothered me. I really like that line. I kind of put a star next to that one. I was just like, I'm gonna drop that on somebody at some point. I've lived 1,000 years and it never bothered me.
That's very vampire.
Yeah.
Mm. You will definitely get the armrest on the plane if you drop that on somebody for sure.
Well, I think you skipped. Got no religion, ain't got no friends.
Well,
No,
that's
coming
that's
up.
next.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. You want go ahead and do the third verse.
You want to sing it, Mike?
Got no religion, don't need no friends. Got all I want and I don't need to pretend. Don't try to reach me because I'll tear up your mind. I've seen the future and I've left it behind.
Yes, I like that one. That one was the kill shot for me. I've seen the
Yeah,
future
yeah.
and I've left it behind. Like, yes.
I mean, and it
now
just,
I kind of get it.
And it just like the sound of the song.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what it sounds like just sounds like this person mentally catapulting through time and space.
Yeah.
I mean, it's driven like that. And now looking back, it's probably because they were fucking out of their brain on cocaine from what I've read recently. But, you know, I'm 19. I don't really know that. And I'm just like, God damn, this is awesome.
Yeah, you're just vibing with the feeling of the song and the madness. Some of the notes I wrote down after just reading the lyrics was this could also be Major Tom's acid trip. Like at the end of Major Tom and we don't hear from him anymore, this is where he went.
Yeah, dude, that's where he goes.
I wrote down nihilistic acid trip. Got no religion, don't need no friends. Everything is nothing. And then I wrote down Paul Odo on mushrooms.
Yeah, dude.
I've heard Paul
never see him again.
I've heard Paul explain like one really hardcore bout they did, this like boys trip they did up in like Connecticut, and Corbin was there and Paul did way too much. And he tells the story better, but like something like he was looking up at the stars and they come down like strings and connected to his eyes, and then his eyes and the stars were strings. I was like, fuck, Paul, you should not be taking that much.
I don't know what's the normal amount, but that seems like a lot.
I don't either. You definitely don't want the stars coming down to rescue you. You're literally taking up. Mike, have you ever done psychedelics?
No.
I don't picture you doing that. I mean, I don't make you out to be the studious, like I know you drink, you know, but I just, you know, I can't picture you doing psychedelics. That's not where, I mean, you just feel like you've always been in the same boat where I am now, where I'm like, I have responsibilities. I can't be doing that shit.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of, I mean, it just like the risk of the way people described it. I mean, just like there's a risk of like completely going crazy for even of a short amount of time, and that just never had any appeal to me.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why people do it, is to get that complete psychic break, like to get fully and completely outside of your own head is something that people get hooked on. Probably, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I did one bad hard acid trip once, and I went into it just wanting to see pretty colors. I was like, I'm an artist. I like art. I like lights and colors. I didn't know the mental thing it was going to take me on. And I was like, no. I like being in control of this. And I did not enjoy not being able to get back to reality. I didn't enjoy that at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine.
A friend of mine is a witchy hippie, and she, a couple of weeks ago, in the middle of a pandemic, went to go see, it was like a Mexican witch doctor who was on a tour through like hippie communities and everything like that. And she took a couple of hits, I don't know if they're hits or whatever, of DMT, which apparently, like, you got to do it, like they won't let you do it unless you're willing to submit to the guide. Like the guide's going to explain to you all the risks that are involved and what you're going to experience, and try to, like, if you start to freak out, they'll be there to help you calm down. And it just sounded like an absolute nightmare. It also sounded like just crazy irresponsible. Just like, why did you do that? Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
And she was just like, because I knew you were going to react like this.
Dad.
Well, yeah, that's one of the weird things about, I mean, being a Black Sabbath fan and not doing a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
Because it is like music designed kind of for people on drugs.
Yeah.
But like, but to like the same extent that like Motorhead literally was kind of, they engineered the music to be for people who are on amphetamines, on speed. Like that's what they're like, this is who this is for.
Yeah.
But like, you can still enjoy what people come up with, you know, their creations in these states. Even you don't have to be in those states, I don't think, to consume it and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
It just seems like a crazy irresponsible thing to do. Like if you're Motorhead, you're just like, oh, all these people are doing cocaine and speed. Why don't we go throw some gasoline on that? You know what these people need? They need to be pumped up a little more.
God bless them. I think they're doing a service.
No, it scares me. I'm just a little retiring fella. I can't have you aggressive dudes out there getting all cracked up that way.
Well, okay, so doing the little bit of research, like, you know, I liked Black Sabbath, but I didn't like know the back end of any of this. And what's funny is that it was all just kind of a show. Like, so what I have written down is Black Sabbath is a satanic ritual from a book called The Devil Rides Out by Dennis Wheatley. And like Ozzy was saying, he's like, it was just kind of like a show. He said the only black magic Sabbath ever got into was a box of chocolates. He said they were a hippie band that believed in peace, but like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To my understanding, they named their band after the movie Black Sabbath, which was a 1963 Boris Karloff horror movie.
That's what I read. Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, a combination of certain factors came together. So they were kind of a blues band. They were in Birmingham, England. Tony Iommi, the guitarist, lost the tip of his finger in an industrial accident. He was working in some sort of factory, maybe it was a slaughterhouse, I'm not sure. But he lost the tip of his finger, and then he had to like learn how to play guitar again with his wound. And it was extremely painful for him because it was on his fret hand. And so in order to make it less painful, he detuned all of his strings. And that's what made that.
Yeah, that's where the real dark, like fat bottom sound comes from.
Yeah. And then Geezer Butler, the lyricist, had an interest in the occult. I mean, just like a fun one, you know, a fun one or whatever. And they were playing in these sort of dingy clubs in Birmingham that were full of drunk Englishmen. And they had to stand out and you had to get people's attention. So all of these three factors came together, and they just sort of like, well, let's sort of add like a horror element to this music that we're playing, make it kind of scary. And then it worked, and then people like started paying attention, and then they kind of developed this sort of formula around all that. And then so in the first, especially first two albums, they have a lot of kind of occult themes. A lot of their songs are about fear of nuclear war. That's like a big, they were hippies. They were like, Geezer Butler's a vegan.
Right.
You know, like they had, so that was where they were coming. But they really, the weird thing is they really had, I mean, if they had a particular perspective, it was the same as like what was going on in like California at the time, like the Eagles and Crosby, Stills and Nash, these sort of hippy dippy types, but they came from this really brutal, gritty place where they didn't express that sentiment through those like gentle ways. All they knew was this darkness and this soot-covered fucking English industrial landscape. So they found like sort of a sonic language that conveyed their message through that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're making the exact same messages.
Yeah.
As your kind of hippie bands. One of the first like the first big show, and then their first place that you can see like a really good live depiction of them that still exists was a No Nukes rally in Paris in 1970.
Wow.
I mean, they were attached to that whole thing early on. So that's what War Pigs is about. That's what Children of the Grave is about. That's what Electric Funeral is about. I mean, I guess Geezer Butler specifically was, specifically attached. But all those things were like couched in like a satanic language, meaning that like all of these things are the work of the devil.
Right.
Like this is like this gruesome reality that we have in the second half of the 20th century is the devil has done this to us and he's laughing at us. It's not pro-devil. This is the explanation for our shitty fucking lives.
Yeah, like the devil's work is already done.
Yeah. So it's just grim.
Yeah. And I have to say, I've always preferred, I mean, I like punk music. I like verging on death metal. I like shit that goes hard. And like, I prefer getting the message out this avenue more than I like a tambourine and a bunch of hippies talking about, same message, but like let's love. And I'm like, nah, this hits harder.
I mean, there were interviews where they're all from Birmingham. It's like, we didn't live that kind of life. We saw that and we're like, that's not a world we knew, the people frolicking around on beaches. We grew up in an awful, horrible place,
That's my favorite thing about the English accents that you do. Like most people do like the really posh, like Queen's English accent.
No.
Like you just go straight into it.
No, Birmingham, all of them were from there. Judas Priest also came out there later. I'm not sure if that's very good. Yeah.
Well, my friend Juliet makes fun of me, like the way most Americans, when we're about to try to do an English accent, we start with oh, hello. She's like, we don't do that. oh, like they're always surprised. Oh, hello.
I always think that's like.
I think in Birmingham it's more like whoa. Whoa.
That's great.
And there was like a very classist sort of backlash against them too, because they were like, I don't know what the analogy would be here, but like rednecks or whatever, working class people, right. And they were reviled by the Rolling Stones set, and they called them, they spelled it Black Sabbath, sort of making fun of their accents
really?
And stuff.
Really?
So, but that made them more popular amongst like outcast people. Like, oh, okay, well, you're like being like racist or whatever. So,
right.
Like that just makes them more powerful, and they're making a music that you don't like.
I didn't find any like Ozzy Osbourne, Mick Jagger stories. They must have crossed paths at some point. Are there any?
Ooh, I don't know. No, I don't.
Has David Bowie fought anyone from Black Sabbath? Or has anybody from Black Sabbath punched David Bowie? We've found over 35 episodes that David Bowie has been punched by everybody.
Really? Not that I know of.
They wanted to punch him if they didn't get a shot in.
They would have liked David. They would have liked David Bowie.
Yeah.
I mean, Ozzy Osbourne's favorite band his favorite album is Sgt. Pepper's. I mean, Black Sabbath, that's the kind of music they ended up playing, but then they had all sorts of musical influences that you would not have expected.
Right.
And they were very open. By the time you get to kind of this album, but definitely the album after that, they're really taking in all sorts of musical influences from other bands at the time, and they almost kind of bump up against prog a little bit. That's what's interesting. They're one of those bands that's just like, fuck it, let's take some chances and do something weird. And sometimes it's shitty, but then sometimes it's kind of sublime and like, wow, okay, I'm really glad that exists.
Well, I can't remember now because I read it earlier today. I don't know if it was Iommi or Geezer. Is that the same person? No.
No.
That was in Jethro Tull before they started Sabbath.
Tony Iommi briefly left Black Sabbath at the very beginning. This is like weeks, if not maybe a month. And he joined Jethro Tull. And the only sort of record of this, have you heard of Rolling Stones' Rock and Roll Circus?
No.
Yep.
Yeah, so that it was a thing that was done in this I think happened before their Black Sabbath's first album even came out.
Okay.
So I think this was 1968, Rolling Stone Rock and Roll Circus. And it was a televised thing or something, but it was released on DVD like 20 years ago. And it was just like the Rolling Stones had like a TV set and all these things, and brought out bands including The Who and Jethro Tull. And Tony Iommi was the guitarist at that time. So he's on TV being the guitarist for Jethro Tull. However, I watched it, and I also know Jethro Tull well enough to know that like the song they were playing, they had somehow mixed it so like the band, this is probably for television production purposes, the band was just like air syncing or whatever, and only the singer was providing new vocals.
Yeah.
So because everyone was like, what the fuck did Tony Iommi's guitar licks for Jethro Tull sound like? And people thought this was going to tell us that. But I've listened to it and it's like, no, that's just the studio recording for the original version of a song for Jeffrey, which is the Jethro Tull song they played. But yeah, so that was like that, like he left Earth. I mean, Black Sabbath was called Earth then, I think.
Right.
He left them and then like a few weeks later came back. So it's just sort of like a blip. But yeah, he was briefly, after Mick Abrams left Jethro Tull, he was the guitarist for Jethro Tull.
Which is kind of crazy. Like you leave your friends in Birmingham to go play lead guitar for Jethro Tull for a stadium act on, with the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And then you just go, yeah, no, I don't really like this. I'm much happier with Ozzy and the boys.
Yeah.
I'm coming back.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like Ian Anderson's decision or Tony's decision, but
yeah, what I read in the notes is he said he didn't like the organization of Jethro Tull, that they treated you like an employee at a corporation and not like a human being, which is, I'm like, all right.
Being treated like an employee with Jethro Tull and then going back.
I don't take orders from a man with a flute. I don't take orders from a flute man.
I'm not a cobra, for God's sake.
No.
I will say,
charmed.
I do love Locomotive Breath from Jethro Tull. I fucking jam that song.
Sure, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Can I tell you guys a heartbreaking secret?
Yeah.
Don't think I've ever heard a single Jethro Tull song.
Oh, you have to have. You just don't know.
Yeah, it's probably one of the ones you did like, oh, okay, I've heard that.
Yeah. Well, what are they? Educate me.
What's the biggest one?
Aqualung. Locomotive Breath, probably, and yeah, probably that.
Aqualung's the biggest one. If you know Aqualung, that's you've heard it. Go play it when we're done with this. You'll be like, oh, okay, I know Jethro Tull.
Go catch up, guy who hosts a music podcast.
That's another band that, like, yeah, I could stand for them too, but like, that would be like very contentious. Also, for all these bands, I like the early stuff too. Like these bands, like Led Zeppelin ended when John Bonham died in 1979. But these other bands that I like, they kept going with all these different including Black Sabbath, with all these different lineups. Like I literally don't know anything about those. Like,
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about.
What?
About Dio, and I don't know why Ozzy left Sabbath. I don't know what happened.
They ran it well. They all had drug problems or whatever on some method, but there were 8 studio albums with Ozzy Osbourne. The last 2, the second to last one, I never even got, because the songs that I know from it, it's weird. Like they sort of like started losing their formula and changing it. And then, but I do have the final album with Ozzy, because they were like so out of ideas based on their original formula that they were just throwing shit at the wall, and like some of it's kind of interesting and fun.
Yeah.
But they were just kind of all done.
Okay.
And then Ozzy was done, but then I think I forget the whole story, but like he was developing problems and he was hard to work with and he was sick of what they were doing, and I think they just fired him basically.
Okay.
But so yeah, and then it's controversial. Like, what do people think about the Dio Black Sabbath?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
He only made 2 albums. He only made 2 studio albums with Black Sabbath, and I'm a big fan of Ronnie James Dio. Was previously with a band called Rainbow, and he made 3 albums with them, and I'm a giant fan of those albums.
Is that what Rainbow in the Dark is about?
He just likes talking about rainbows.
Okay.
Let's call it that. That's what I got.
Can I interject one of my favorite Mike MacRae jokes? And I don't know if you ever even did it on stage. I just know you did it at an open mic, but talking about when a guy, he's dating a new girl, but he hasn't brought her around. Do you remember this?
No.
Okay, I love telling comedians jokes they don't remember telling. I remember I was literally standing next to Robin Weinberg. We were standing next to each other on the side hall at open mic, and you're talking about bringing a new girl around to the friends. You haven't brought her around though, but you've been dating her, and the friends are like, "What's going on?" And what's she like? And you're like, she's really nice and she's really frugal, and you're getting to the point that she's ugly, and then your friends are starting to get it, and you're finally like, look, she looks like Ronnie James Dio. And me and Robin Weinberg just died laughing, but the crowd didn't. I think they were too young, or they just didn't know Ronnie James
Dio. I was
Dio.
doing this on stage?
Yeah,
okay.
This was at an open mic at the Laugh Stop. And
sounds vaguely familiar.
Fuck, I was howling laughing.
Okay, you saying frugal, I remember this. Yeah.
She's frugal, okay. And then you're like, he looks like Ronnie James Dio. So
not a good thing to look like, but if she had those pipes, holy shit.
It's awesome.
But yeah, I like those 2 albums. So a lot of people are very anti-Dio, but I am not.
You're not. Did you know that in between Ozzy and Dio, this is like a pop quiz, do you know the very shocking person that they almost had lead Black Sabbath?
Michael Bolton?
Yes! What the
fuck?
Yeah.
Michael Bolton, who went on to do soft rock instead.
Yeah. I always knew he was in one of these. I couldn't remember if it was Deep Purple or what, but like I know Michael Bolton like auditioned for one of these transition bands. Yeah.
So funny. That would have been a whole different life for Michael Bolton.
Did he just kind of like age out of that young aggressive rock thing and then into the middle-aged soft rock that he?
I don't know, but I know that like then in the late 80s, and then we're getting to the Black Sabbath that I don't fucking know anything about. They had a singer named Tony Martin, and that dude sounded like Michael Bolton. So I think they were going for a Michael Bolton sound eventually.
Right.
So I don't know.
Was Ozzy with Black Sabbath when he bit the head off that bat?
At the Alamo?
No,
that's two different stories.
No, that was early on in his solo career, I believe. Yeah, both of those incidents.
Oh, how do you feel about Ozzy solo compared to Black Sabbath?
I like that. Yeah, I like Ozzy solo. Well, a lot of it.
Yeah.
I had a friend in like high school and college, and we went to go see Ozzy in '96 in St. Louis, and I remember him telling me that he like, yeah, at the end of the day, I like solo Ozzy more than Black Sabbath, and I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, dude, you can't tell me shit like this. But yeah, no, Ozzy is solo Ozzy is good. I mean, depending on who his guitarist is, but yeah, I'm a fan as well.
What's that video where he looks really fucking crazy? Where he's like, "Close my eyes forever." What is that? The one he did with Lita Ford?
Lita Ford,
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
I just remember he had this very Karen mom haircut. It was just very 80s in that video. And then there was this moment where he's sideways and then he just turns with his crazy Aussie eyes and just,
Yeah,
it used to kind of scare me.
He had a whole coif going in the 80s, man. That was weird.
They all did.
But so I watched this with Rob when I was in college, like I was really into getting into Sabbath, and then there was a series of video cassettes. Well, there was two of them. It was called the Black Sabbath Story, and you could rent one of them at Blockbuster on Kirby.
Nice.
And for some reason, the other one, Volume 1 was there. Volume 2 was at Cactus. You could rent it there. And I somehow figured this shit out. And I went and got these things. And what it came out in probably about 1992. They decided to do like a retrospective of sort of the history of Black Sabbath, because for that year they got back together with Ronnie James Dio, and I think they were doing like a big promotional kind of retrospective of their career. And so what they did was they interspersed concert footage, like little snippets of concert footage with interviews with everyone that had, and then including who had been in Black Sabbath after Ozzy left. And then it became kind of this rolling lineup thing. And it was Spinal Tap. Like,
really?
Unironically.
Oh my gosh.
The editor of this thing was a fucking comedic genius, because it was not supposed to be funny. It was the funniest fucking thing. And I told Rob about it back like in 2000, 2001. And I fucking got both these tapes. They were still there, both those locations. And we watched it when he lived in that high rise, right?
Oh my God.
Yep.
And it is just like, this is what it's based on. First of all, the scene in Spinal Tap with the Stonehenge being the wrong size, that's from the Black Sabbath tour 1983 with Ian Gillan.
Oh
That's
my,
it's a real thing that happened. All of that shit's real. Yeah, the album cover controversy is based on a Whitesnake album called Love Hunter. And I would like you to Google that image if you could.
Okay.
If now or later, but it's quite something. Don't show it to me because I get aroused.
Okay.
Can
we get this on Amazon? Do you think this is available now? Can we watch it now?
I don't know. Well, here's the problem. I tried to show it to Henry Phillips later, and we found the DVD. This was like in the mid 2000s, and what they had done is they had separated on two different DVDs the concert footage and then the interviews on two different things, and it didn't work. It wasn't funny that way.
Oh.
But like,
damn, I want to see this now.
Dude, it was. I wish I could. I mean, they were like Geezer Butler, the bass player. Like, Ozzy Osbourne was the only one who wasn't interviewed for it, but everyone else was. And so Geezer Butler, like, he was like this. He's like this good-natured hippie vegan guy, and he doesn't take any of this shit seriously. And so, like, the way they interspersed, they told the story, they were recording, I think, Sabotage, and they're like, want to do it spooky, so they went into a castle somewhere in England. They rented this out, and they kind of set up a studio in the basement. They were rehearsing there late at night, and they said, and I think Tony Iommi was telling the story, and he was like serious about it. And he said that they saw someone walking down the hallway, and then they looked out, and that person walked into a room. And they're like, well, who's that? And then they went in that room, and they walked into the room, and there was no one in there. And there was also no other exit to the room in the dungeon of this castle. And they freaked the fuck out. And Tony Iommi was like, so we thought we saw ghosts, And then then they immediately cut to Geezer Butler, who's always sitting like this, like. What happened was the band like left in the middle of the night, and Geezer Butler goes, so there we were, this satanic band driving home in the middle of the night because we thought we saw ghosts. And the whole thing is nothing but like either Geezer Butler just making fun of whatever the fuck just happened, or like
Oh my god, that's awesome.
and then like after Ronnie James Dio left, Ian Gillan, who was the lead singer of Deep Purple, he became the singer for Black Sabbath for one album, and it was kind of like everyone was awesome, but it was kind of a disaster. It didn't fit.
Right.
And so they like showed part of him singing Zero the Hero. And I think I have almost his entire thing memorized. They just cut to, they're going to start talking about the Gillan era, and they cut to him, and he's laughing. He's like a notorious sort of like good time drinking guy. And he goes, I was the worst singer Black Sabbath ever had. But it just didn't work. But, you know, I mean, you know, but everyone was sort of in Congress, I suppose, you know. Or no, he said, like, you know, we all worked together, Geezer, me, Bev Bavan was sort of in Congress with us, which is his way of saying was a shitty drummer. And he's like, but the album I thought was very good, you know, the songs Zero the Hero, Disturbing the Priest, Digital Bitch, you know, they were good.
I've never heard Zero the Hero. I don't know this, but they do that at my son's school in gym. There's a superhero character called Zero the Hero, and then they count from.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I wonder if the coach is a big fan. That's really.
I'm sure that rhyme has been discovered in many different times and contexts. I'm not gonna give Black Sabbath the provenance for that.
Yeah, I guess so. Funny connection.
PE coaches are huge Black Sabbath fans.
Yeah, that would be really funny if that was the case. Where like she's just kind of doing a wink at all of us Sabbath fans.
Mike, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say a couple other things. Do we have to wrap it up?
We can go. If you got more, go ahead.
The only couple of so I did see Black Sabbath live in '99 in Compaq Center in Houston, which is now Joel Osteen's church. It always cracks me up. I see that. I'm like, I saw Black Sabbath there.
That's the best.
And I didn't know Rob Mungle at the time, but Rob Mungle was in there too.
Nice.
Yeah. I saw Black Sabbath at the biggest church in the world.
I know, man. But the only kind of weird connection I have there is, so when I was growing up in West St. Louis County, I had a neighbor a couple doors down. He was like a couple years below me. He went to a different school. I didn't really know him, but occasionally we'd like talk and like trade books and smoke cigarettes and shit when I was a teenager. And one time I was on his back porch and we were talking, and I think Sabbath came up, man. And he goes, man, you know, the drummer for Sabbath used to live in our neighborhood. I'm like, what? What? Which drummer? They live in England or something, right? He's like, no, man, they fucking, the drummer lived here, dude. I'm like, all right. So like that. And I'm used to like, there's all this lore around Black Sabbath and Zeppelin, all these bands. This is before, when I got into stuff, there was no real internet. Like you couldn't like Google shit. Like there was, if you wanted to, you couldn't even like some music stores would let you sample an album or whatever. But if you wanted to get into a band, you had to buy their greatest hit CD and see if you liked it or whatever. But anyway, especially all these bands that had all this occult trappings to them in the Midwest, like there was a real lore around that shit. And I'm like, oh, this is just more weird, localized mythology about this band. And then years later, I was at the St. Louis Funny Bone. And I was hanging out with some comics there. And I relayed what this guy said. I'm like, yeah, my neighbor, man, told me that like drummer for Black Sabbath lived in West County somewhere. And this comic named Mark Sweeney, who's a good bit older than I am, but grew up in St. Louis County. He goes, wasn't a drummer, it was Geezer Butler.
Oh.
What?
He was the bass player. I said, what? He's like, he was my neighbor.
What?
I said, fucking what?
What?
He said, in the 1970s, Geezer Butler met and fell in love with a woman in St. Louis, and he moved here to St. Louis. So when he wasn't on tour, he was living in my fucking neighborhood.
Oh my god.
He was in my cul-de-sac. And what he said was, so like Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath would slap on a pair of Daisy Dukes in 1975 and start mowing the lawn. and, and all these, and Mark Sweeney and all his fucking front, like teen 70s friends would go out and like stare like the Bad News Bears at this rock star fucking just mowing the lawn in the middle of the cul-de-sac. And then so Mark Sweeney's dad was a Marine, and Mark Sweeney's dad didn't know who Geezer Butler was. He didn't know what all that shit was. He just knew that was a famous guy. And he came out there, he's like, God damn it, quit staring at that man. He's just mowing his lawn like anyone else. He's just trying to be an honest man, and y'all staring at him like he's a circus freak. Get on in the house.
I thought you were going to say he yelled at him for wearing his little shorts in the yard, but no, everybody did back then.
Men did that
shit
back then, man.
My dad never wore anything but those little tiny shorts that had the stripe on the side. Like,
oh, yeah.
That was the outfit in the house, out of the house, mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great story.
So that's the one little mythological connection I have to Black Sabbath.
Did it blow your mind? Sure, like all this time I thought that was a fucking lie.
Yeah, no, I was like, you have, solved. Yeah,
God.
The fact that there was validation to this old sort of lore from my cul-de-sac or whatever.
Yeah.
Was pretty cool, man.
That's really awesome. Well, that's a good place to wrap this up and get into our other segments. You think? You got anything else? Got any other great Sabbath stories?
No, I did. I made a note for myself, so I did that.
Nice. Perfect.
It's like, don't forget.
Well, before we get into guilty pleasures, have you guys ever? I'll do our dressed up like a douche. It comes from my friend Matt Lewis. I'll just read what he wrote. He said, one of my favorites, despite not liking the song much, Martin Page, In the House of Stone and Light. Do you know that song? I've never heard of this song.
I don't.
I was hoping you guys would, because I was like, well, maybe they know it and it's funny to them. Apparently there's a line that says, I hope love will open my eyes. And he said all he can ever hear is, I have a lump of poop in my eye. Which would have been way funnier if anybody actually knew the fucking song. But none of us do. I even went to YouTube and I was like, not ringing a bell. Never heard of this at all.
If I woke up with poop in my eye, I would definitely write a song about it, though. I would need to record that one in verse form.
We have to write about a song about our adventure of you trying to give me pink eye. I've written about it. I've talked about it a lot. We have to write a song about that.
Is Shel Silverstein still alive? That's definitely a young adult poetry thing.
Is this misheard lyrics portion?
Yeah, this was, do you have a misheard lyric? We can, if you have one, before we go into guilty pleasure songs.
My friend in high school, Umran, was the king of misheard lyrics.
Nice.
He, like, to give you an example before I get into the best one, like the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin, there's a line that says, peace and trust can win the day despite all you're losing. And he thought it was, these Etruscan women, they despise all you're losing. Like, that is the most elaborate,
holy crap,
intellectual misheard lyric I've ever heard.
That's great.
But the best one he ever had was, so when I was a sophomore in high school, the second Pearl Jam album was awaited like fucking Nagasaki, man.
Right.
Like, it was like, and he especially was just a giant fan. And their first single, they released the first single called Animal, and it was like in the morning, and like he had heard it on the radio. He's like, do you hear the new Pearl Jam single? I was like, no, I haven't. I'm like, what is it? It's called I Drive a V. I'm like, what? He goes, it's called I Drive a V. Well, how's it go? He goes, I drive a V. I drive a V. I drive a V with an animal.
my God, this poor guy.
And I said, what does that mean? He goes, I don't know, man, but it's fucking awesome.
That's great.
If you don't know what the lyrics is, I'd rather
be.
Yeah.
That's the best part about all the misheard. That's the best part about misheard song lyrics is like you're just like singing them like yeah, and you're like that doesn't make any sense.
Because even the real ones don't make sense.
It's true. Especially
Distant man a waving his spoon. I've been singing that for 25 years.
Will we ever know the truth, Mike? I don't know. All right, Ben, do you have a guilty pleasure song?
I do. It's Bonnie Tyler's "Total Eclipse of the Heart." My mom used to listen to that late at night when I was a kid, and I just thought it was like a song that kind of like arrived to me and me only. And I went to a karaoke thing years ago, and I just belted out "Total Eclipse of the Heart," thinking that it was like a rare song. Like, wouldn't it be weird for like this young man who knows this ladies' anthem?
I've seen you do this. I've seen you.
I didn't realize that that's karaoke. Like, oh fuck. Here we go again.
How does this young man know about this hoarse Welsh woman's voice?
So we have this song written down as a song we want to cover because upon further research, it's mind-blowing. This song was written for a vampire musical. The song is about vampires. It's fucking crazy. Like, I never knew that. And so one day we're going to have to cover this in depth. Maybe just
absolutely cannot stand that song anymore. I left the restaurant a couple of months ago because they were playing Total Eclipse. Like I just like halfway through the meal, just like, we're out of here. Gotta go. No, I can't. I can't ask him to change it, and I don't want to listen to it. I'm leaving. When
you hear it as a vampire song, it changes everything. Forever's gonna start tonight. It's insane. Vampire musical. All right, I'll go next. I'll save Mike for last. So mine is not a song. The song is great. I absolutely love the song. This is a guilty pleasure name of the fucking band. Did we lose Ben? Did he go pee?
I'm coming back. Okay. I'm here.
Okay. It's a band out of Austin, Texas. The song is called According to Plan. It's a great song. Great beat. Just exactly my kind of music. The name of the band, I cannot get over the dumb ways people name their bands, much like the way they name their children these days. The full name of the band is I Love You, But I've Chosen Darkness. That's the whole name of the band. Like, can you imagine telling like, oh, I love this new song from I Love You, But I've Chosen Darkness? Exactly. Isn't that the worst? It's the worst.
Get the fuck out. Get on the bus. Get out of town.
Me and Corbin die laughing every time it comes up because we both are like, but the song is really good, but this is the dumbest band name we've ever heard.
That line could have got me out of some bad relationships.
If they received a COVID art grant from the city of Austin, I'd be very pissed because no comics did.
All right, Mike, what's your guilty pleasure song?
Well, whatever it's going to be an 80s song, and there's a dozen I could pick, but let's say the Reflex by Duran.
Nice. Why is it guilty?
I mean,
I kind of like Duran.
Yeah, I do too, but like it doesn't really fit in with the rest of my aesthetic or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the kind of stuff I liked when I was, well, first of all, at the time when it came out, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with like they were popular when I was little.
Right.
And I liked them but then, I got older and, that became, my taste in popular music became, I don't know, a little more masculine.
Right.
I guess. But that they got frozen in time.
Yeah. It's a weird thing when you look at your mixtape, or, shuffling through your iTunes where you can go from Ozzy straight to the Reflex.
Yeah.
And you enjoy it just as much.
I mean, it's funny, like the most, like, most of what I listen to is classical music, and that includes the most like sort of gentle, tender kind of instrumentation and sound, you can imagine some of it. But then when it comes to I don't have any like this isn't fucking manly or whatever. I don't think that when I'm listening to Maurice Ravel or whatever. But for some reason, like when it comes to rock music, I'm like, yeah, it's got to have some fucking balls.
Yeah.
But yeah, Duran breaks through that a little bit, I guess.
That's funny. So do you like any of the music me and Ben like? Any like new wave, Cure, Depeche Mode, or would you consider all that guilty?
I don't like the Cure at all.
No.
I like some Depeche Mode, yeah.
Okay.
What else?
Good to know. Erasure, Morrissey, The Smiths.
A little bit of Morrissey, The Smiths, a little bit in there. I mean, it's kind of like you get into bands like that. For me, it's like song to song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I kind of weave in and out about a little bit.
Especially like knowing some of those songs were just huge hits in the 80s and they were inescapable, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's just not a kind of like I would couch those as like that's like an aesthetic and kind of a point of view that I just don't connect with.
Right.
But I can still appreciate some of the music that they made.
Right.
Like I said, so it's just the same things with sometimes there's like genres of comedy that I don't care about or that I don't care for. But sometimes there's a comic who does that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, it does. I don't understand the essence.
Like Ron White or something. Like I'm not into fucking
right.
Redneck, whatever, blue collar shit in general. But like that guy's a great comic.
He's so fucking funny. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I feel that way about those types of bands sometimes.
Got it. All right. Can we move on to the business? I want Mike to stick around for the business because I think he'll find this funny.
Business.
The business. This is where I just talk about what's coming up next week. But Mike specifically asked me to be on before Mungle.
Suck it, Rob.
So next week, you guys, listen up. We're going to get serious. There has been a serious debate that has divided the people of this country, of the world, for far too long. And we're going to dive into those issues, especially the ones that have driven a wedge between us. And to help us mediate these issues, I couldn't think of any better person than our friend, any other person who's better at conflict resolution between two divided people than our friend and Whiskey Brother comedian Rob Mungle. And we are going to talk about Van Halen versus Van Hagar.
Oh, great.
So it's a Patreon vote week.
He's got a great story. Oh, he's got such a great story.
Well, so Rob has made it very difficult and very fun. What he wants the Patreon voters to do is to pick, he put out 3 Van Halen songs and then 3, I'm just going to say Van Hagar songs, and have them pick the best of both 3, and then he's going to pit them against each other.
You're all a bunch of idiots.
So, oh shit, hold on. I got to tell the people which 3. Did I write it down? Fuck, did I write it down in my notes? Oh, come on, Diane. God damn it. I'm going to have to just put it on the Patreon. I think it was like, the Van Halen ones was like Jump, Ain't Talking About Love, and then another one, and then the Van Hagar songs. He didn't put I Can't Drive 55, but what's the
that's not Van Hagar. That's just Sammy.
That's
Hagar.
just Sammy. Okay, that's why. Okay. I can't remember. I'm sorry, guys. I'll put it on the Patreon vote, and then that'll just be a surprise for everyone next week. So anyway, I think that's gonna be fun.
Mike, snap judgment. Sammy Hagar or Diamond Dave?
Who even? I mean, come on, man.
Please.
I don't know.
Unchained alone.
It's Diamond Dave. Is Diamond Dave.
I mean, I'm not like
Hagar.
Yeah.
I don't know Rob's stance. Rob definitely is Diamond Dave. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Sammy Hagar throws a party. David Lee Roth is the party.
Why don't
rock critics like Elvis Costello because rock critics look like Elvis Costello.
I want you to
Dave TV.
So To piss Rob off, you should say right now everything you know Rob's gonna say just to fucking step on his
No,
cock.
I don't. I already scooped Sabbath from him. I don't want to ruin anything else.
Nice.
But I
All
have
right.
a general idea. I'll be sure to tune in.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Well, thank you, Mike, so much. This was
Thank you, guys.
just as much fun as
Really appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
Hey, if you ever want to do Led Zeppelin, you let me know.
We'll come back to you because we haven't
Absolutely.
done Zeppelin yet, so we'll come back to you for it.
I know
we
more
didn't talk
about them even.
This came from Ronnie James Dio's grandma. Did we talk about that? The Devil's
There's like some controversy about that.
Oh.
In fact, there's a liner note. I have it I think the liner note for this album that, I mean, they show the crowd and someone's doing that. So it like predates. So I'm not quite sure if, I mean, I know that Dio says like they did the thing like some Catholic prayer Italian thing.
His like grandmother did it to ward away bad spirits or demons or something.
Right.
And can you imagine like knowing what he looks like, what his grandmother looked like? It must have been like
him. Poor Ronald Padanova. You know, his first single was released in 1958.
No.
That was one of the big secrets in metal of how old Ronnie James Dio was and how short he was.
Oh my God. That fucking little troll. Rest his soul. R.I.P. Ronnie James Dio. All right, Mike. Thank you so much.
So fun to talk to you guys.
I hope to see you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Remove. That was good. That was as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I really like that one. It's fun.
All right. Special thank you to Chuck Savage and Eddie Hawkins for our amazing, I've had half of a drink, amazing intro music, and to Sara Wessling for the guilty pleasure vocals. If you would like to support the podcast, if you just want to throw us some support and you don't want to do it with money, just please tell your friends about us. Share away. Help us grow that way. That'd be great. If you want to have some fun, you can go to patreon.com/rockthecashbar. You'll get every episode early, and you get the privilege of voting on every other episode that we do. You get to pick the song. We have a Spotify playlist where we have all the songs that we cover, plus the guilty pleasure songs, which that's going to make a fun playlist because it's mostly guilty pleasure songs. You can check out our website at rockthecashbarpodcast.com. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next Thursday with Rob Mungle and a whole bunch of Van Halen. That's going to be fun.
Thank you, Vogue.